Good evening and welcome to the Blue One podcast over on Henry Kravitz's YouTube channel. I'm hoping you're doing well on this evening, afternoon, morning, depending where you are in the world when you're listening to this. What is the Blue Flag podcast? Well, it is basically me talking about F1. I'm going to be doing a live stream on Twitch after the races. Probably not directly straight after the race. Maybe a couple of, during the week, and then I'll do a video like with the latest news as well, just so get my just so you get my thoughts and opinions on things, and then you can add your own in the comment below. So welcome, and hopefully you can enjoy this content. So what's been happening in the world of F1? So Esteban Ocon has left, or is leaving, Alpine at the end of the season now. Alpine are restructured at the minute. They're following the footsteps of McLaren with the three-tier structure in place. Obviously, McLaren didn't really go any outside. I mean, obviously they brought, I think, Stella in and a couple of others, but they've kept it, all in-house. And that's the same, obviously, with Alpine. They brought the guy that was at McLaren, I think it's David Sanchez. I'm sure if I've got that wrong, you'll let me know in the comments below, but they've obviously done that. They've got to reduce the weight of the car, get the aero right, and then hopefully they can be back up scoring more points regularly. While you're also there, you've got obviously this maybe toxic environment with obviously Ocon and Gasly, because obviously they didn't get on. Now, obviously in the past, Ocon's had clashes with Perez. Some were his fault. I think there was one instance in Singapore which was Perez's fault, and obviously then when he was with Alonso, I think they clashed, and it's Esteban races hard, and it's kind of nice to see that, but you can't, at the end of the day you're a team first, and you help your team out, and if you disobeyed an order, then you've got to face the consequences. Now, my personal opinion is that he probably doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to be near the back of the grid with Alpine, but he's not really going to get a seat further forward. And does he feel like he's like the number one? He's a leader. If he doesn't feel that, that's probably also played a factor in it. I would suspect that he may be he may have already put feelers out to teams to see if they're interested. Now, my guess would be that if Carlos Sainz doesn't go to Audi, then he could probably go there, but also he could go to Haas, and and I think he'll go to Haas and he'll be there with Beerman, and I think Sainz does go to Audi, and I think Bottas goes to Williams. Another thing that another thing with Alpine that was mentioned by David Croft on the Sky Sports F1 podcast is he mentioned that Alpine or Renault might need some money, so they might go for Zhu if his investors, give, say, I think he said 30% stake for their money, which they might do, because even though it's a works team, I don't think Renault support it as much as they should be doing, and I think if they'd invested in it before the budget cap got in and got Enstone up to like a Maranello or Mercedes or a Red Bull factory, or like that ilk, then they would be up there, but they never really did. I know I went there while they were developing it so they could have more staff, like collab in the canteen and stuff like that, because the canteen wasn't that big, so there'd be like one department at a time going for lunch. But they would obviously, when I went there, they were doing that. So I mean, if you look at Enstone compared to the others, it's small. But if you look at the top five, Aston Martin, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, then Enstone isn't like that. And it's the same with Haas, probably the same with V-Carb, or Alpha Tower as I like to call it, Sauber, and Williams. They don't have big factories, so to speak. So it's what Renault do next. Now they've got those investors and the money went on repaying Renault a loan or whatever. Now they're naturally winners. Anthony Joshua, he's won boxing matches, he's won titles. and Rob McNally and his mate from Deadpool. They've won titles. I know they've won the conference with Wrexham. They've got promoted from League 2 into League 1, 2 seasons, back-to-back seasons. So they know how to win races. But for me, as talking as an Alpine fan, I would think you need a bit of experience in there. Bonotto's not got a job yet, whether that's through choice or whether he's not been offered anything. I know there's a rumour going around that Aston Martin may be looking to go for him, but I thought he would go to Audi, but he hasn't obviously gone to Audi yet. Now, I'm not saying he will go to Audi, that was just my opinion back then. Maybe he's just enjoying the life, who knows. But obviously Alpine's issue is their engine. If they were going to be proactive, they should be signing people from whoever's got the best engine, so whether that's Red Bull, whether that's Mercedes, whether that's Ferrari, or maybe even people from other series to get them in to help you get that engine on, up to date. Obviously their engine site is in France, and Enstone obviously is in the UK, which is obviously another issue altogether. And I thought maybe if you brought Bonotto in with his technical aspects as well, you're looking like you've got a good leadership, a good leader there. But I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Whether they're just like literally having a complete reset and starting again, which seems to be in the last 12 months. That's what they're doing. But hopefully things, for me as an Alpine fan, can only get better, to be honest. Yeah, so for me personally, I think Bottas goes to Williams alongside Albon. I think Ocon and Bierman go to Haas. VCarb, I think, will probably stay the same, but I think Yuki's looking for another seat because he's not getting a chance at Red Bull. And obviously they've just signed Perez to a new 2-year deal, which must infuriate Dr. Marco because he brings all these talented drivers through, and there's talent, there's Gasly and there's Ricciardo and all these others that they've come through the academy, through the Red Bull academy, and then they're not getting a chance in the main team. Now you can't. I know some will go, they're not good enough for this, that, and the other, but if they then go off to have a decent career with other teams, then maybe that's the team. Maybe it's just the team ethos. Maybe it doesn't suit them. So I still think that even though it's not really in the news as much, there's still a divide at Red Bull. Whether Marco sells, maybe the Austrian side of Red Bull, maybe they get pushed to buy VCarb, and Dr. Marco goes over there. And maybe that will be the start of the end, and maybe Max goes to Mercedes in the future. But I think if Mercedes take Anatoly, then I don't know whether they would go for Max, because I don't, they're going to drop one of those two for Max. I can't necessarily see it, to be honest. But that's down the line, further down the line, to be honest. So watch this space, as they say. I am just looking at an article on the MSN or Microsoft website. I think it's from GP Fans, that says that the FIA have announced that they will not be making controversial changes to a key rule in F1. And this article is talking about the cost cap, and it says that employees' rights such as access to maternity, paternity cover, and staff entertainment, including Christmas parties expenses, are also not currently included in the cap. This was thought to change in the future, with lawmakers wanting to change the cost cap to ensure the regulation was simplified and included more parameters. However, after concerns from teams and staff about employee rights, the FIA have announced that they will not be including a variety of factors in future cost cut rules. So they're going to keep them as is, which is the right thing to do, to be honest. That is the right thing to do. So we I think that's the right thing to do. And the only team that have been done for budget cap so far was Red Bull, which they got 10% and 10% less ATR time and £5.5 million deal. So that will be interesting. I'm also I'm just thinking that maybe, obviously with Andretti having that big factory at Silverstone, I wonder if maybe they do something with Haas. Maybe they buy Haas, because I know in NASCAR Haas have a team with somebody else, and they're stopping that from the end of the year. So maybe they can buy Haas, and with Haas they've only got a factory at Maranello, a factory in Bambi, which I've visited, and a garage or factory out in Italy. So they could literally move everything over to the UK and just do it all in house there. So that's maybe an option. And obviously buy the engines, obviously, because they get this from Ferrari. But then in a few years they could get their, Cadillac or General Motors can make their own. So that would be an interesting thought. And maybe, like I say, if Porsche are interested still, they could do a deal. Maybe the Austrian side of Red Bull take over with Porsche and do that bit, and we see what happens. Maybe if Max leaves, then Christian leaves. I don't know. There's too many imperatives, so to speak. So what I'd like you to do is just tell me in the comments who you think ends up where, and do you think Haas or somebody else gets bought by Andretti? I can't see it be Alpine. I can't see Renault selling yet. But let me know in the comments below, and we can have a little chat about it. It'd be good to sort of talk about stuff like this. So yeah, obviously it's Canada this weekend. Hopefully this goes out before the Canadian Grand Prix. It's just trying to find time to upload it, but yeah, hopefully that goes out Thursday or Friday, and then we've got the Canadian Grand Prix, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think somebody said the weather forecast looks like it's going to rain out in Canada, which would be interesting, but we'll wait and see. So thank you for listening to this new section, and hopefully you leave me the comments down below as to who you think is going to end up where and why, and I look forward to seeing them.